I, all right, so we're live. Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Nelson. I'm in Central Florida, and let me go live on Instagram here. Please let me know where you're watching from. Just put in the chat where you're watching us from. And today we have Jenny Mitich here with us.
Hello.
And she's going to talk to us a little bit about, I guess, multiple things. Let's say
We can
I
talk about
have,
whatever you want to talk about, Dr. Nelson.
so I call her the queen of testing. That's what I put on my channel here.
It is true though. You were the one that gave me that name, and I feel like it's appropriate. I do a lot of N of 1 experiments, blood work, scans, tons of stuff. So it is appropriate, and I thank you for dubbing me the queen of testing.
And so you do a lot of testing, of course, and that is in good fun. The reason I said that, but mostly you eat which way?
So my dietary philosophy, I follow carnivore diet. So that's the way I eat in my normal life daily. But sometimes if I'm doing an N of 1 experiment, I will eat differently just to kind of see what happens.
And sometimes some of us do that, and sometimes it might go wrong, as the results. Sometimes you expect better results and you don't get them, but that's what happens when you do any type of testing. You're testing to see if your theory is correct, and if it's not correct, you need to adjust, right?
Correct. Yeah, every time I do an N of 1 experiment, I have an idea, a hypothesis of what's going to happen. And almost every time when the data comes back, there's something that's not what I was expecting. So I always learn something. And I think that's the beautiful thing about science is, you're not always going to confirm your hypotheses. Sometimes life throws you a curveball.
Right. So if you have any questions for Jenny, please put them in the chat box. Please precede them with a QQQ. That way it's easier for me to identify. And I'll check once in a while the Instagram because they don't come through necessarily on the chat box here. And so how long have you been carnivore total? Mostly in this way of eating, except for those exceptions where you're testing.
Yeah, I started almost 3 years ago. So December of 2022 was when I started.
All right. So just a few days after that was when I started being very strict on a keto diet for the last time. Prior, I had done very strict keto for months at a time for the previous 30 years. But then it was only a temporary thing. And I think consistency is key in trying to achieve the results. We have a question here. I'm going to go ahead and start with that. What products do you use on your hair? It is gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I use a lot of things. So not really that much. I use a shampoo and a conditioner. I think Joy. I'd have to type it out. I don't even know what the names are. Some stuff at Ulta. It's like an apple cider vinegar shampoo with just this like youth complex conditioner. And then when I'm styling it, I use a Kenra blow drying spray to protect the hair from blow drying. And then I just curl it and I put a little bit of hairspray on it, some Kenra hairspray. That's it. I think the amount of meat that I eat also helps with the shine. and the health of it. So I think a lot of collagen and connective tissues when you're eating a carnivore diet is also helpful.
For a moment there, I wasn't sure if she was asking the question to you or to me.
I love you. Well, what's your hair routine, Dr. Nelson?
The objective thing I can tell you is, so number one, I didn't lose my hair because of any diet. I shaved my hair because a friend who was dying of cancer, and I kept it. But I have noticed I have to shave more frequently my hair since I went carnivore.
Yeah.
Now, I just shave when it's time to shave. I just, if I see it or feel it, I don't have a specific every 3 days or every week or anything like that. But
have you noticed when your hair does grow in, have you noticed that it's not as gray anymore? Because I've heard people talk about that with carnivore.
So I haven't let it grow enough so I could notice. I did have a lot of gray hair. I don't have my bigger picture here, but it was pretty,
Yeah.
Salt
you look
and
like
pepper.
a completely different person in a good way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So let me see. We have a couple of questions here. Thank you for the questions. And
keep them coming. I love questions. I'm an open book, so ask as many as you would like.
All right. So I'm noticing a quality difference with grocery store and farm fresh. Will it affect diet results? That's a very good question.
That is a very good question. So this kind of boils down to like, is conventional meat worse than like grass-fed, grass-finished organic meat? And marginally, nutritionally, it's marginally better, grass-fed, grass-finished. But it depends a lot on like, what can you afford? What can you be consistent with? And what taste do you prefer? Because some grass-fed, grass-finished can have a slightly different taste than conventional. I think the bottom line is just eat what you prefer and what you can afford, because the health benefits are going to be pretty much the same across the board. Now, this might be a little different for somebody that's suffering from like a histamine issue or maybe some kind of autoimmune issue where they really need to focus in on like grass-fed, grass-finished, really frozen as close to slaughter as possible and things like that. But that's not most people. So I eat conventional meat probably 80% of the time. And then I'll eat organic, grass-fed, grass-finished the rest of the time. So it just depends. But I don't think it's going to affect diet results for most people.
So when you can, in particular, most of what we eat probably is ruminant meat, right? Eat what you can afford, definitely. The differences, there are differences, and if you want to be picky and extreme and you want to spend the money and you have the money to spend, by all means, get the best quality, but get the best quality you can afford, I think would be my suggestion. However, in the non-ruminant meat, do you think it might make more difference? For example, the chicken or eggs from one that has been, in the pasture and not fed with GMO corn, wheat, soy. What do you think?
I do think that there could be a difference there, especially with eggs. I only buy pastured eggs, pastured organic eggs. Or if I can't find those cage-free or organic at the very least, just because the quality is just there and the taste is so much different. Like the deep orange yolk, As far as chicken and pork, I still eat conventional chicken and pork. Most of the time. And I don't have any issues with it. But somebody who is very sensitive, may have issues because they have a single chambered stomach as opposed to ruminants that have a 4-chambered stomach. So you really are eating whatever they ate. But I find that's only the most sensitive that have an issue with that.
All right. What is your number one suggestion for a person new to carnivore?
I would say keep it simple and give it time. You don't need to overwhelm yourself with so many changes all at once. Just keep it to all meat, all seafood, eggs, and butter. And if you really want to, you could throw in the dairy just in the beginning. And then you need to give it at least 30 days. I really think 30 to 60 is a good amount of time for your body to get used to this new way of eating. And then beyond that amount of time is when you really start to see a lot of healing. So that would probably be what I would say.
What are the most common, and this is mostly the new people, what are the most common problems that you see, the feedback you get from people? Oh, I'm starting it, and they mention less than 30 days, for example, and I have this problem. What is the most frequent?
I would say keto flu related symptoms that they don't know are keto flu. So like I started the diet, I felt like crap after a week and I had to stop. Bathroom issues, diarrhea and or constipation, those are huge. And then I think just not giving it enough time, not giving enough time in general are the ones that I encounter most.
All right. Carnivore for 5 months, but my luteal phase keeps getting shorter. What could be causing this? Thyroid issues? Any dangers to taking desiccated thyroid supplements? Should I stop Lugol's 2%? That's 3 questions there.
There's a lot there. Well, I'm not a medical professional, so I can't give personal medical advice, but we can talk a little bit about the thyroid stuff because I have Hashimoto's and I do take iodine. The key with any kind of iodine is just making sure that you're getting the purest you possibly can, because if it's got any kind of pollutants in it, it's not going to work and or it might cause issues. So I have a specific iodine that I use that's really, really, really clean. It's from Accelerated Supplements. That's really, really good. I use a desiccated thyroid supplement from Ancestral Supplements. I use that along with my desiccated NP thyroid for my T4 that I have a prescription for. So I have a lot of success, and most people have success with those. I would say if you're having issues with your cycle, I would do some hormonal testing, including a full thyroid panel and all of the female hormones along with some testosterone, but you need to make sure you're finding a practitioner that knows how to read those panels and can guide you in making adjustments. Another thing I could think of is maybe you're not eating enough fat. I don't know what your macros are like, but that maybe could be playing into why you're having some changes with your cycle. So maybe upping the fat a little bit would be helpful. That's all the stuff I could think of.
Thank you. What is the latest thing you've been looking into, Jenny?
Like my latest N of 1 experiments? So right now I'm in the middle of a raw dairy experiment. I just mentioned that I have Hashimoto's thyroiditis and I cannot eat conventional dairy, like liquid dairy. I can eat a little bit of conventional cheese, but if I do too much, I feel like crap. Like my joints start to hurt. I get a little bit of anxiety and depression that returns. And I just kind of feel sick, like tired, like the general malaise feeling. So I steer clear. But I've heard from so many different creators out there that if you do raw dairy, you're not going to have those kind of issues. But I was like, is that real? So I worked with Miller's Biofarm, who was at Meat Stock. They had an amazing booth there, and they have this amazing raw dairy products. And I've been testing that out. And I'm going to be doing blood work afterwards just to make sure like my antibodies aren't going up and things like that. But so far, so good. it's been really interesting. I have found that I can, in fact, consume raw dairy and not have any issues. So that's nice because I like dairy.
So the issues that you mentioned, obviously, symptom-wise, are a clear tale that whatever you were using was not good, but you haven't had any malaise or fatigue or unplugging type of losing energy, when you feel like they pull the plug on you. You haven't had that with the raw milk. Now, which they have, I believe they had goat, buffalo, and cattle.
I've been doing all cow, and I've done the heavy cream, cottage cheese, kefir, yogurt, cheeses, the ice cream, which was made with their raw cream. So I've been sticking to just the cow. I have heard that goat of all kinds, conventional and raw, can be better for people with autoimmune issues that have reactions to conventional dairy.
Yes, and goat is actually the closest milk to human milk, closer than cow. Okay. And I always mention this. My father grew up on goat's milk because after he was born, my grandmother apparently she had some issues. Might have been an infection, a mastitis, and couldn't nurse him. And I'm talking 1928. There was no formula,
Yeah.
So they had goats, and he got goat milk almost straight from the tit, just here you go. I imagine maybe they warmed it up or not, but he grew up on that.
Yeah.
He lived 92 years. I'm not saying it was the goat's milk, but certainly part of it.
Yeah, I've heard that before. I've heard that before in breastfeeding circles. Like if you're having a hard time with supply, that goat milk can be a replacement. I've never tried it, but it's good to know, because I've only had one pregnancy with the twins, and I had low supply. I was not on a carnivore diet at the time, though. So if we decide to do another pregnancy, it'd be interesting to see.
And before trying this raw milk, which so far so good, did you ever try A2?
Yes, same reaction.
And you still have the same reaction.
Yeah,
but
I think it's due to the ultra pasteurization.
I was going to mention the processing of it, of course.
Yeah, I think when they kill all the enzymes and all the beneficial bacteria that's in it, it ruins it for me. My digestive system is like, no, you can't have that.
So have you ever tried any other milk from other ruminant mammals that is not?
I've had goat, but I haven't had any other milks. I'm not opposed to it. I just don't really have access to it.
Okay. Certainly.
What milks have you had, Dr. Nelson?
I was there at Mitich, and I tried the raw milk that they had, and I stopped drinking milk many, many years ago because it just wrecks my blood sugar. And I tried them all. They were all very good, very creamy, also very sweet, because milk does have a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
So I was happy to finish my days at Mitich because I kept having more.
It is really good. Back in the day, long when I was a kid, my dad, my brother, and I, every night before bed, we'd have a bowl of sugary cereal. I love cereal with milk. It's my jam. Obviously, I don't eat it anymore, but I haven't had milk in so long, and I love now that I have the possibility of drinking milk again if it's raw. Will I put it on Cinnamon Toast Crunch? No. But will I put it on some pork rinds with some cinnamon? Yes. So it's an exciting prospect for me.
Many years ago, one of my favorite snacks while watching TV, especially late at night, would be a big bowl of cereal. They could be, I don't know, Captain Crunch
Yes.
or Frosted Mini Wheats, the healthy stuff, with milk, and
Yeah.
of course that it did have the expected results on my blood sugar.
Yes, I did not have a CGM back then, but if I was to do it now, I'm sure my blood sugar would spike to like 200 or something crazy. The wild thing with Hashimoto's is your blood sugar regulation is all off too. So if I was just a mainline sugar like that, it would go high.
Yeah. And of course, makes sense. The thyroid is involved. All cells of the body respond to a certain degree to thyroid hormones, and that's why we produce them. So it makes sense. Thyroid also, I never treated before. If I was trying to treat cholesterol in the days I was more aggressive with that, I wouldn't start treating the cholesterol until the thyroid was stable, because it does affect. And of course, if the blood sugars are not stable, also affects the cholesterol. All right. So Coach Edens is asking, what is the name again? I love cottage cheese and would love to add back in my carnivore diet.
Yeah, Miller's Biofarm, and they ship nationwide.
And if you go to drkiltz.com, I think we have a link there for Miller's Biofarm.
Yeah, really high quality stuff. Like legit. Like I'm not just saying that. It's actually really, really, really good.
I can't find a source that says that beef and eggs have enough. I guess this is a conversation here between some people. Maybe, okay, a carnivore diet, you don't need as much, but seriously, it's a real concern of mine. I wasn't paying attention on what's enough.
Yeah, what nutrient are you referring to?
Yeah.
Question, yeah.
All right. What do you think of sardines? Do you eat sardines?
I just had a can this morning. That's another experiment I'm running. Is I'm trying to find out the minimum amount of sardines you have to consume in order to raise your omega-3s to high levels. So yeah, I've done 3, 5, 7, 10, and 14-day sardine fasts on my channel with blood work before and after DEXA scans, showing the amount of fat loss and what it does to your blood work and all that stuff. It's fascinating. Okay, here's the thing. I don't love sardines. I tolerate them at best, but they are so nutrient dense that I feel like everyone should be eating a can at least once a week, if not a couple times more, or finding an equal source of omega-3s in a different seafood. But I think it's necessary. So yeah, I am pro sardine. Do I like them a lot? I'm like, eh. They're okay. I can choke them down.
Becky is asking, can you get CGM without a prescription? If so, what's your recommendation?
Yes, you 100% can in the United States. I don't know about overseas, but there's 2 companies here. One is Stello, one is Lingo. I'm wearing a Stello right now, and I pair mine with the NutriSense app because I don't like Stello's graphs within their app because I'm a psychopath. So I use the NutriSense app. You don't have to do that. Stello works with both Androids and iPhones. Lingo only works with iPhones currently, so that is something to think about. And I believe they're $39 a sensor or $49 a sensor or something like that. So yeah, they are accessible to everybody now, and I strongly recommend everybody wear them. Like for a month. So that would be 2 sensors, and just run some experiments on the different food that you're eating, because everybody is going to be having a slightly different reaction to different foods. Like Dr. Nelson and I could eat the exact same food and it could affect us in different ways. There's not like an endless source of variation because we're all human beings. There you go, Stello. But it's very interesting and dependent on your metabolic health. So I've been wearing a CGM since September of 2022. Not one, but like, switching them out. But I've been wearing them that long just because I love.
Yeah, they only last a couple of weeks.
They only last a few weeks.
So here's my comment on CGMs. I can only tell you what I have tried, right? The prescription available ones, Freestyle, Libre, and Dexcom, the last version, Dexcom 7, are usually only paid by insurance when you're using insulin, right? So it really becomes too expensive, and they have both come out with the over-the-counter version. Stelo is by Dexcom, and Lingo, which I was wearing until yesterday, for I used 2 sensors for 4 weeks, is the only time I've used the Lingo. I liked it better. I liked it better for multiple reasons. I've been subscribed to Stelo, and it's exactly $89 for a subscription, $99 for a one-time purchase. The Lingo comes out to almost the same, maybe a few dollars less. It's not that much of a difference. So $45 per sensor, because they're two in this box. And the Lingo, I think $42 and some cents. You have to pay 3 months in advance or 12 weeks on the Lingo, and then they'll send you a box every 4 weeks or something like that. But I like the Lingo app better.
Yeah.
I like the whole experience with the Lingo, but I have not worn it more than the 4 weeks. So I cannot tell you more about it. With that Stelo, I've had a few problems. Most of the time, it doesn't last me the 15 days it's supposed to. I have had multiple issues. They do replace them, but you have to go and complain and fill out a form, and most of the time it's accepted. When it has failed very close to the 15 days, they just don't replace it. So if I go 12, 13 days and it stops, they have denied my replacement. I can tell you what my personal experience is, but they're not the only ones. There are multiple out there, less well known. These are the two big companies that compete probably at the top of the market because they make the prescription versions, and they're made by Dexcom 7 and by Abbott, the other one. But I think everybody should have one, even if it's just for a month, and just see how you react to what you eat. Okay? You may react in a way to a food that you didn't think it was going to affect you that much. So you've done a lot of personal testing, and I know you take deep dives into this. What's the most your blood sugar should go up when you have a meal?
I mean, you're supposed to stay under 140. But the key is that if you go above 140, that it needs to be below 140 again within 2 hours.
All right. That's a very good point. Back to baseline within the 2 hours. That's very important. And I say baseline, not necessarily 140, but wherever you started, you should end up there within 120 minutes.
Right. So like if you started at 90, you should be back at 90 within 2 hours of eating. I think that's really important. The other thing that's important is to keep the variability really tight. So you want to keep your variability to 15 or under. That just means that you're not having wild spikes and dips all day long. You want your blood sugar to be kind of tightly regulated, because all those spikes and dips can cause, over a long period of time, can cause issues in your blood vessels. So that's something that I really pay attention to. And on a carnivore diet or a keto, an ultra low carb diet, you're really not going to see huge spikes. If I'm eating a carnivore diet, my blood sugar is anywhere between 70 and like 110 typically. Just depends on what I'm doing. And also, it's not just food that affects your blood sugar. It's heat, cold, stress, sleep, or lack thereof. So many different factors. And that's why I think it's important to wear a CGM for a period of time, because then you'll see like, oh, when I have a business meeting and I'm like really stressed out, my blood sugar spikes. When I go into a sauna, my blood sugar spikes. It's interesting to see that data and see just how much it varies day to day.
So when it comes to food, I usually like to see no more than a 30-point spike from wherever your baseline is. Your baseline may not be perfect. Your baseline may be way above what it should be. But if you eat something, I do not want that to go 30 more points from where you started, and I want you back to where you started within the 2 hours. That will give me a good sense that you're doing better with your insulin resistance. It is that key how you react to foods and glucose spikes and insulin taking care of business. That's going to allow your blood sugars to skyrocket. Obviously, some foods, because of its nature, you're feeding sugar into your body straight, then it's going to go up more than that. But being able to clear that from your system within 2 hours back to baseline is very important. Because I was wearing a CGM, I was able to discover this. I am not a shy person. And ever since my youth, I would speak in front of people in church. Even after, as a doctor, I would give talk to groups. I never considered myself having any type of stage fright or any anxiety about speaking, right? So this particular Sunday, a couple of years ago, I go to a church to give a talk on reversing type 2 diabetes. And I go up, I have my presentation, answer questions, and I come down and I sit and I go and look at my app. I had a huge spike that started just before going up to talk. And I was really shocked because, okay, I feel no stress, absolutely, but my blood sugar definitely went up. And I was fasting that day. Well, up until that point, I had not had anything to eat. There was no reason except I went up. And at that point, my blood sugar, if I had not been wearing a CGM, I would have never found that out. And so you're correct. If you do any, if you go to extreme, a cold plunge or a sauna, even a hot shower or cold shower, that can, and any type of activities, exercises, any bedroom Olympics, all those things will increase your blood sugar, but that's a natural process.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing. That's exactly what it's supposed to do. I think it's so important for people that when you see it visually, you're like, oh, okay. And then it doesn't freak you out anymore,
Kat says, I eat sardine patties for lunch at least 4 to 5 days a week, hoping that it's helping bolster my omega-3s.
Yeah.
Omega-3s are very important. I take a supplement, salmon derived omega-3s every day, but I also have salmon on a regular basis. I love sashimi, so I eat it raw. Do you eat any salmon?
Me? I'm not a big
Yes.
salmon fan. I don't like salmon. I'm a tuna sashimi, and tuna, I do sardines. I'll do walleye, shrimp, crab, lobster, all that kind of stuff. If you're eating sardines that often, your omega-3s are through the roof. You can do a test called an omega check if you really want to see what's going on. It's like a $60-something test on ownyourlabs.com. But when I was eating that much sardines, mine were like amazing. So I think
does that test only check for the omega-3s, or does it check for omega-6 as well?
Both. Okay. So it does, I think, 2 or 3 different omega-6s. I think it's linoleic acid, arachidonic acid, and I think that's it. And then the omegas are EPA, DHA, and one other. So there's 3 omega-3s, 2 omega-6s. It shows you the ratios. And then it'll tell you like a low, moderate, or high amount of omegas. You want to have a high amount of omega-3s. Omega-6s are also going to be there, and you want them because they play a role in your body. You just don't want an overload of omega-6s. They need to be in a good mix. So but if you're eating that much, she's definitely, her omega-3s are probably amazing.
Interesting about the omega-6s, omega-6 is an essential fatty acid, okay? But it seems to be so ubiquitous, is the right word, in our diet, that you don't need to make it a point to consume it.
Right.
And the main, omega-6s are the main components on the vegetable seed oils. And there are people who, okay, there are studies showing that maybe they do have some benefits.
Yep.
I am not in that camp, but I give credit to, yes, there might be some studies out there. The problem, as I see it, is that you go back 100 to 150 years ago, and before that time, nobody had this huge amount of omega-6s in the diet. So your ratios kept more to the point where they should be. Now come these vegetable seed oils, which are giving you not the omega-6 that you might want because it's vegetable or plant derived, but it's too much. So the balance, the omega-3s, you could think of it as more protective than the omega-6s. And when you have too much of the omega-6, there seems to be a lot more inflammation, which is, at the end of the day, not a good thing.
Agreed.
So I have a genetic disease and tried raw butter and still had reaction. Okay. Well, sorry about that.
It can happen. I mean, it's not going to be across the board for everybody that they don't. That sucks because raw butter is delicious.
Yours good enough. It's about the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. Yeah, no need. Also, you don't have to have such a high level of omega-3 to get the ratio right.
Yeah, in theory. Yeah, I've seen sometimes though, when I've been doing these omega checks, that I had high omega-6s, and I wasn't eating any seed oil. I haven't eaten seed oil in, God, probably 5 to 10 years, unless it's accidental. But yeah, in theory, yes, that's true. Okay. Got it. So what that previous question that was talking about beef and eggs, the amount of omega-3s that are in beef and eggs, allergic to fish, and can't stomach lamb. Got it.
So in that case, this might be one of the cases where I would say, okay, you might want to get the grass-fed, grass-finished, the highest quality beef, because the ratio is a little bit better on that type of free range, pasture raised, all these things. They do have a better profile of omega-3 to omega-6.
Yep. That's true. Yeah, in that case, I would also just test. If you're really concerned about how much omega-3s you have, do an omega check and just see. You might be just fine, instead of guessing.
And this is one of the other, well, there are many points of contention when you compare a carnivore diet to vegan diet and all the spectrum in between. Flaxseed oil is often what they use when they're not consuming animals. The problem with the omega-3s in particular in flaxseed oil is that only 5 to 10% get converted in your body to EPA and DHA, and that's not enough. So you're still going to be lacking regardless of how much flaxseed oil or flax seeds you consume. Lion diet since June 2024 for earlier Dan loss saved my life. Tried to reintroduce paleo foods for only a week in June, and all the pain came back plus 20 pounds. The weight won't come off now.
Sounds like inflammation related. And did you go back to Lion or did you go back to just normal carnivore? I guess would be my question.
Yeah, I would definitely try going back to the ultimate elimination diet and see how you do with that. And you don't mention which paleo foods you reintroduced, so those particular foods might be also
inflammatory.
Yeah. I don't know if this question is for you, but I'm going to bring it up. Beverly asks, have you done a sardine fast and how many cans do you eat a day? I eat 7 to 10. Wow. I actually have sardines right out of the can, water packed, bones and skin. That's how I buy them, by the way, when in water, bones and skin.
Yeah.
You get the whole sardine, not this deboned, skinned product, which is not the best. What do you think, Jenny?
I agree. I do oil packed or water packed. I like the bones because that's really good source of calcium. And for anyone out there that hasn't ever eaten sardines out of a can that have bones in it, they're very soft. You don't even really tell. You can tell a little bit that you're eating them, but it's actually pretty good. When I'm doing a sardine fast, I typically eat anywhere between like 4 to 6 per day. 7 to 10 is great. It's just, it's how hungry are you? How many can you eat and what fills you up? So everyone's going to be a little different, but I've done a lot of sardine fasting.
I don't know if I could put 10 cans in a day of sardines.
That's a lot. That's like 22 grams of protein per can, typically around there.
Well, if you count calories, please don't hate me. If you count calories, sardines in water with the bones and skin, the cheap brand at the big box store, it's 100 calories per can. Okay, so even if you were counting calories, eating 10 a day, that's 1,000.
Yeah, that's nothing.
Calories. But I couldn't eat. I tried a 3-day sardine fast, and I think the most I ate on one day was 4.
Yeah, I can't get much higher than 6. I'm stuffed at that point.
All righty. Let me just.
I think that was related to the omega-3 question.
It's been a long time since I tested my blood sugar. This is Rick. You're familiar with Rick?
Me?
Yeah.
I am not.
Okay. He's only been carnivore for 42 years.
Wow. The thing. I wear a continuous glucose monitor because I'm doing experiments all the time and I'm doing carnivore educational content. I don't think if you're carnivore, your blood sugar is not really going to be doing much. It's just going to be like this. So if you don't want to waste the money, it's okay.
I I'm not a fan of having to track myself everything every time. Okay. And when I talk to patients, clients, whoever's asking, if you don't want to track, you actually don't need to track. You can track how you're feeling. And if you're feeling okay, now, if you're trying to reverse disease, which is one of the things I am interested in, then I want you to do some tracking, right? Someone dealing with sugar problems, obviously, that will be someone who might be a good thing to track. My blood sugar right now, it's right at 100.
Let's see what mine's at.
I did have breakfast this morning. I had a New York strip and 3 eggs.
Mine is at 87, and I had a sausage patty, a can of sardines, and I think that's it. So that's to be expected. I had a big spike at the sauna when I was there. It went up to 153.
All right. So I think I see Marilena here on Instagram. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. Thank you for being here. Albert, I reversed my diabetes in 5 months through diet.
That's awesome. Great work.
And whatever you're doing, definitely keep doing it, because you didn't specify what type of diet, but obviously you can do this. I've had recently close family members, let's say, with newly diagnosed diabetes, struggling with the fact that, okay, now this is happening for real, or pre-diabetes. By the way, my opinion on pre-diabetes is similar to my opinion on being pre-pregnant. You're either pregnant or not. And if you have more than 5.6, your risk for the same complications go up exponentially. It's like a J curve. It go like that once you go past 5.6 of A1C. So I don't think that there's any difference between a 5.7 and a 6.7. They're both already taking you into bad territory regarding the risk for all-cause mortality, strokes, heart attacks, and all types of diabetic complications. Yes, it's a spectrum. The higher it is, the worse your complication will be. But it doesn't start at 6.5. It starts actually right after 5.6. And that's what studies show. So I think we should have a better terminology, because if you compare it to pregnancy, you're either pregnant or not. Not that pregnancy is it's a disease, by the way, but it's similar. You're either pregnant or you're not. Yes, you can be 2 weeks pregnant, 4 weeks pregnant, or 40 weeks pregnant, and there'll be a difference, very obvious difference. But it's all part of a spectrum. So congratulations, Albert. I hope you're telling others, and you have a channel where you're sharing this with other people.
Agreed.
Okay? Because this is how others will find out. Sometimes it's not from the doctor, unfortunately, because most doctors will not dare say to the patient, you can reverse diabetes.
Barb, I love you.
Is there a cost to the NutriSense app if you're pairing it with a Stelo?
So yes, there's a one-time fee to use the app for a year. I think it's like $200 or less. You can also order Stelo CGMs through NutriSense, though I think it's cheaper to just go through the Stelo app to do it that way. There's lots of different things that you could do within the NutriSense app that I find valuable. Their data is so much better, so much better than the Stello. So that's why I use it. I also have been using the NutriSense since I started tracking. So it's just kind of my app of choice. There's lots of continuous glucose monitor apps out there that have better graphs.
Does fermented cod liver oil count for omega-3?
It's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I would assume so. I've never personally used it though.
Yeah, my answer will be yes. All right. I've eaten carne and sardines every day since June 25, sometimes two with other foods as well. Never even tried them before the 25th of June.
That's great. Good for you. Are you feeling any better? What benefits have you seen from consuming that much?
All right.
That's about the omega question.
Hello, Papa. Okay. D. Lee. Thank you. Exercise.
What about it? Yes, it's important. We're humans. We're meant to move. I do a lot of walking. I do a lot of strength training, and I'll do. I like to warm up on the Stairmaster or elliptical. And cycling.
So what happens? I think we mentioned this, but what happens when you exercise, and what do you see on your CGM?
Yeah, so typically I'll see a spike, and then I'll see not a huge spike like a sauna spike, but a little spike, and then it'll go down lower than it was before when I started. And that's because your muscles are a repository for glucose. So you'll use it all up, and then it will be able to pull more glucose out of your bloodstream. So like if I started at like 90 before I worked out, went up to 120, it would dip down to like 80, 85, something like that. It's really interesting to see. That's why everyone talks about like strength training as being one of the most important things you can do to help in lowering your blood glucose levels, because then your glucose in your bloodstream has a place to go if you have more muscle.
No, Carbob is asking how, I believe, the person that makes the sardine patties, how they make them. Did you say you were coming out with a recipe book?
Who, me? Yes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an encyclopedia of the carnivore diet. It's a complete in-depth guide to the carnivore diet along with 80 carnivore recipes. So it's got an entire chapter on monitoring your progress. It has an entire chapter on troubleshooting carnivore. So if you're running into issues, there's a bunch of stuff in there on how you can get the scale moving again or whatever issue you're running into. And a complete in-depth guide to getting started. It's called Complete Carnivore, and it's coming out on November 4th.
Very good. Chris is asking, there are so many brands and types of magnesium available. Which magnesium would you recommend?
There are so many types. So many. I use multiple. I really like the BioOptimizers brand. They have one called Magnesium Breakthrough that has 7 forms of magnesium in it. That can be really good, and it's a clean product. I get magnesium citrate from the Element electrolytes that I drink, and then I do magnesium glycinate at night to help with like detox. I'm kind of doing a leaky gut liver detox protocol for my Hashimoto's stuff. So you need a lot of magnesium and B6 to help clear stuff out. So I add that as well. Oh, and then I do a form of magnesium when I'm doing my Epsom salt baths. So there's so many you can pick. Just read the ingredients label and make sure it's not full of extra fillers and stuff.
I personally use magnesium glycinate. I take 240 milligrams in the morning and 240 in the evening. I use it regularly because it helps me with avoiding cramps. And by the way, whenever I do anything that increases and decreases my blood sugars drastically, I get more cramps. So cramps are not only from the magnesium, but whenever there are huge spikes and valleys with blood sugar, what happens is you're causing a shift between outside the cell and inside the cells, and you're flooding the system one way or the other, and that always pulls electrolytes with it. Water never changes spaces without having a gradient of sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium, and all these electrolytes, which is part of their function. So I have violent cramps if I do something that's going to increase my insulin, and then I have to maybe use insulin to spike my glucose. I mean, I have to use insulin to regulate that, and the end result is I'll have more cramps.
That's really interesting you say that, and it makes me think about if I've had a bowl of fruit at night before, and the next few days, because my glucose spike went really high, I'll have cramps again. And I was always like, why am I getting cramping? What am I doing? That makes a lot of sense.
All right. So do you eat any other fish? Sardines you
Yeah.
already mentioned, but mackerel, anchovies, herring, do you use any of those?
Yep. I don't do salmon, but I will do all of the others there. Yes.
And you
So
don't do
not as
salmon
often as I
because
should.
you don't like the taste of salmon? Is that
I
it?
just don't like the I can do smoked salmon, but like fresh salmon, not my thing. Sashimi, not my thing. I don't know what it is. I just don't really like it.
Yeah.
I wish I did, because it's a good source of so many different nutrients, but I just don't.
All right.
Hey, what's up? Yay! I love her. Aaliyah doing a fat fast today.
This is my very young friend who got some interesting posts on social media, by the way.
I love her. I interviewed her for my podcast a while ago.
Okay. All right. Kat is doing some fasting. Do you do any fasting?
Yeah, I do a lot. My husband does a ton of water fasting. I've done sardine, I've done fat fasting, protein sparing modified, some water fasting, and then I intermittent fast every day.
Yesterday was fasting day for me. I'm trying to do it once a week on Mondays. I think it's helpful. So Monday fits the schedule. You could do any day. I was just talking to someone today who has been doing fasting twice a week, different days, just skipping one day on Mondays and Thursdays, I think. And they've been doing it for a while. It helps.
It does. It really helps with blood sugar regulation.
Yes. It's probably one of the best ways to have an impact when you do have high levels of insulin. It will help shut that production of insulin from the pancreas. Now, the problem with hyperinsulinemia is not going to shut down the whole thing down to zero, perhaps. So some people do a little bit of prolonged fasting for that. I'm not saying you have to do it, but I think that once a week or twice a week will be helpful for that. Especially if you're struggling with glucose and your insulin levels and it's high, that is a very good thing. Okay, so I'm starting to scan for One last question. It's already the top of the hour. And I think we're going to leave it there if I don't see any. Okay, let's take one more question, Jenny. And I do know for a fact you have something at 4:30, right?
Yeah. I've
Okay.
got Dr. Kiltz on the pod today. All
Yeah.
right.
That will be coming out in 2 to 3 months. But I see all the time how you should add more iodine to the carnivore diet. But every time I try to use the drops, it makes me feel ill. It causes my thyroid gland to start hurting. Go
Okay.
ahead, Jenny.
I would say if it's making you feel like crap, don't take it. But I would also look at the iodine that you're taking and really focus in on the quality. I don't know if you have Hashimoto's or thyroid issues, low thyroid, but it can be really helpful. But you got to start slow. Like with the stuff that I was using, the stuff that I currently use, you start at 1 drop 3 times a day, and then you work your way up by 1 drop. I'm now up to 21 drops 3 times a day. And for Hashimoto's, it's like 25 3 times a day that's recommended or something like that. But it's all about the quality of the product that you're using too. So if you're feeling crappy, don't take it. You don't want to feel like crap.
Absolutely. The old joke, doc, when I do this, it hurts. Well, stop doing that.
Yeah.
Easy treatment.
Yep.
However, this is my take on supplementation. If you have doubts about supplementation, test, don't guess, right? If you think you're deficient in iodine, go ahead and test it. You can do multiple ways of testing. The most accurate is going to require that you go and have a 24-hour urine collection. So, but if you think you're deficient, go ahead and test. And if you have that theory, prove it to yourself.
Right.
And then you can confidently say, okay, I need to supplement. If you don't have a deficiency, then especially in the context that it's affecting you negatively, don't do it. Thank you very much, Jenny. Where can we find you?
At Jenny Mitich is my YouTube. Mama Mitich is my Instagram. And I'm on all the socials. You'll be able to find me from those two, but the Jenny Mitich on YouTube is the main one.
All righty. I put it in my description, but it's easy to find because there's only one, right?
There's only one of me so far.
So I'm going to let you go. And thank you, everybody, for being here. Tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., we'll be in the live stream on the Kiltz Mighty Tribe morning live stream. Those of you who are here and are in my class, we're going to have an attorney tell us how to set up your coaching business. So thank you for being here. And
thank you, Dr. Nelson. It was really fun.
All right. Thank you again 1,000 times for being here. All right. I'll see you later.